Now, we deep dive a little bit on the earlier slide presented on the different modules of IBP. In the demand planning process within IBP, the strength lies in how statistical forecasting is seamlessly combined with human insight to arrive at a consensus driven forecast. On one side, we have advanced algorithms analyzing historical sales data to generate a system based forecast. On the other, we have planners and commercial teams bringing in contextual knowledge, market understanding, and customer specific inputs. This collaboration is what makes the forecast truly reliable and actionable. A demand planner typically begins by reviewing the system generated statistical forecast. This number is derived from the best fit algorithm that the system selects based on historical patterns, whether that's seasonal trends, moving averages, or exponential smoothing. However, planners don't accept the statistical output blindly. Instead, they cross check it against past trends and challenge any sudden spikes or drops that appear unjustified. This creates a healthy review loop. Imagine a scenario where the system forecast for a specific product line jumps unexpectedly. The demand planner flags it and questions the sales team. This number doesn't seem aligned with previous sales patterns. Are you confident this is realistic? At this point, the sales team might justify the increase, saying a competitor is experiencing supply disruptions and one of their key customers is planning to switch providers, increasing their order volume temporarily. In such a case, the sales team's explanation might make the highest forecast reasonable. Alternatively, the sales team may admit that the projection was overly optimistic and agree to revise it. These interactions are not about pointing fingers. They are part of a collaborative forecasting process where both sides are working towards the same goal, building the most accurate picture of future demand. This iterative discussion continues until both demand planner and sales team agree on the numbers. When this happens, we arrive at what's known as the consensus forecast, a single shared version of demand that both functions align with. Without this alignment, the planning process loses its integrity. For the IVP cycle to be effective, consensus must be reached not only for the immediate month, but across the planning horizon, often extending to 6 months or even 24 months into the future. Once this consensus forecast is finalized, it feeds directly into the supply planning process. This is handled in the IBP for supply module, which covers both tactical and operational supply planning. Here, the unconstrained demand from the demand plan is taken as input, and various supply side constraints like production capacity, supply lead times, and resource availability are applied to evaluate what can actually be delivered. Based on this analysis, tactical and operational actions are defined. For instance, if demand is 10,000 units, but due to a machine breakdown or limited supplier capacity, only 6,000 can be produced, the planning system identifies that gap. Actions might include adjusting production schedules, pulling forward inventory, or negotiating faster deliveries from alternate suppliers. In some cases, if the gap significantly affects strategic goals, it may trigger proposals that go beyond day to day operations, such as outsourcing production or investing in new machinery, which are escalated to the executive level for review and approval. Meanwhile, the IBP for inventory module operates in parallel. This component ensures that inventory levels across the network remain optimized. The inventory planner has to work within a company-wide inventory target. If inventory is overstocked for one product, they might need to reduce stock for another to balance the total holding. It's a tough balancing act. The inventory planner is essentially the mediator between demand and supply teams, constantly adjusting, negotiating, and aligning to meet service levels without exceeding financial limits. Every decision must consider lead times, safety stock targets, service level agreements, and the overall capacity to carry inventory. As the process progresses, the next critical stage is the sales and operations planning cycle, which culminates in the integrated review. This is where demand and supply plans are reviewed together. The goal is to identify major gaps and decide on cross functional actions to resolve them. One of the first comparisons made is between unconstrained demand and unconstrained supply. Since both are theoretical and free of real world limitations, the gaps here are usually minimal. But the comparison becomes more meaningful and more urgent when unconstrained demand is compared with constrained supply. Suppose the forecasted demand is 10,000 units, but the current supply capacity is only 5,000. That 50% shortfall can't be ignored. This gap triggers an immediate need for action. Should demand be reduced by prioritizing only key customers, or should supply be increased through overtime, third party manufacturing, or other means? On the flip side, there could also be situations where supply is abundant but demand is low. In such cases, the review team explores commercial actions, perhaps a targeted promotion or market expansion strategy to stimulate demand and prevent underutilization of resources. These discussions take place in the integrated review where tactical decisions are signed off. For decisions involving larger investments or long term implications, such as approving the installation of a new production line, expanding warehousing capacity, or onboarding a new supplier, the conversation moves to the executive SNOP review. Here, the top management plays a critical role. They have a bird's eye view of the organization's direction and performance. They are informed by dashboards and planning views that reflect the health of demand, supply, inventory, and fulfillment. Based on this, they provide strategic guidance and validate proposals that require significant organizational commitment. For example, they might approve an expansion into a new region, allocate capital to a major marketing campaign, or redirect resources from one business unit to another based on shifting priorities. Moreover, top executives are responsible for ensuring organizational alignment. They communicate key decisions, changes in direction, or new strategic priorities back to the teams, demand planners, inventory managers, supply planners, and so on, ensuring that everyone across the business is working towards the same goals. This continuous loop of communication, bottom up from planners and top down from leadership, keeps the entire organization responsive, agile, and synchronized. In essence, IVP isn't just a set of modules, it's a collaborative decision making ecosystem. Forecasts are generated, challenged, and aligned. Plans are created, optimized, and reconciled. And finally, decisions are made, communicated, and executed. From statistical forecasts to executive direction, the process brings together data, people, and strategy to deliver a single integrated view of where the organization is going and how it's going to get there.